All right, guys, and if you're just joining this live stream, I'm Atlanta News First digital journalist Jamarlo Phillips, and what you're looking at right now is a close-up of the Dogs getting off a Delta plane headed to Athens after their big win last night against the TCU Horned Frogs. Now, this makes the second straight year that the Dogs have taken the national championship. Historic win in Los Angeles for these guys here. And once they get off the plane, they'll get on those buses and head to Athens, where they will be greeted by crowds of people to help celebrate their win. And then this weekend on Saturday, they're going to have a parade. So there's another chance for you to get out there and help celebrate with the Dogs too. And again, this is an aerial view from our Atlanta News First chopper of the Dogs. Still getting off that plane. They're loading onto those 3 buses. And that drive will take about 17 minutes from the Atlanta airport to their destination. And as those guys load the buses there before Georgia, as I mentioned before, there had only been 10 back-to-back championship seasons in college football history. And you can bet Coach Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs are going to enjoy tonight and be thinking about how they can make it a 3rd straight next year. All right, guys. Big win for the Dogs last night against TCU Horned Frogs. Final score 7-65. That's a 58-point victory over the TCU Frogs. And if you weren't watching the game last night in Los Angeles, you missed out. Because before Georgia, there had only been 10 back-to-back championship seasons in college football history. And as those Dogs get off that Delta plane right there, as you can see on camera, they're going to load those 3 buses and head to Athens. It's going to take a little over an hour to get there. But before that, they might make a few stops after being on the plane for so long. And if you missed the celebration and the game last night, you'll have another chance to celebrate with the Dogs on Saturday in Athens. Fans are invited to watch from the sidelines as a parade will begin on Lumpkin Street at 12:30 p.m. That's on Saturday in Athens, and it ends at Sanford Stadium. So if you weren't able to make it to Los Angeles, or if you weren't able to watch the game last night, you can celebrate with the Dogs this weekend on Saturday. And as these guys load the buses here, I see about 3 more buses just pulled up from our aerial view. You can see right there where they're getting off that Delta plane and loaded onto those 3, 4, 5, 6 buses. And once they leave the Atlanta airport, they'll head to Athens, where they will be greeted by crowds of fans. And as you can imagine, I'm sure the energy there is going to be crazy. So that's where those guys will be headed once they leave the Atlanta airport. And as you can see here, they're still getting off the plane. So we're going to keep this live picture up and follow these guys as they head to Athens. Hey there again, guys. I'm Atlanta News First digital journalist Jamarlo Phillips here at the First Alert Desk. And what you're watching right now is a live picture of the Georgia Bulldogs getting off that Delta plane, and they have made it back to Atlanta from Los Angeles, where they're coming home with a big win tonight against the TCU Horned Frogs. And if you missed that big game last night, and if you weren't able to watch it, weren't able to be in attendance, you'll have another chance to celebrate with the Dogs on their second straight win for the national championship on Saturday. Our parade will happen at 12:30 in Athens. So again, if you missed that chance to watch the game, if you missed that chance to fly over to Los Angeles, you'll have another chance to celebrate with the Dogs on this Saturday. And again, we still have that picture up of the Dogs loaded onto some buses now, where they will head to Athens, where crowds of people, as you can imagine, will greet them. And I'm sure the energy there will be unimaginable. Go ahead and take a look at this live picture again. Those Dogs are still boarding those buses.
Kirby Smart and his Junkyard Dogs. Kirby's Junkyard Dogs.
It's the dawn of a new era at UGA at 14-0. With a chance to win back-to-back national championships, die-hard dog fan William Perry had an idea.
And when Kirby came around, I just naturally thought,
Classic Dooley's Junkyard Dogs, which became a hit during Georgia's 1980 championship season.
people have asked me what I wanted to get out of putting the song out there. And really, I just want to be walking through campus before a game. That would be there's that true like
and who better to record than he did than a man dubbed Young James Brown. Tony Wilson said he was given that.
Hey there, guys. Atlanta News First digital journalist Jamarlo Phillips here again. We are still live at the Atlanta airport where the Bulldogs are getting ready to head to Athens, where they will be greeted and met by crowds of fans. You know, they're going to have a great time, and I'm sure the fans out there can't wait for the Bulldogs to arrive, especially after that huge win last night. The Bulldogs took that playoff title game for the second straight year after taking down the TCU Horned Frogs. And it was a game that you did not want to miss. Final score 7-65. It was a blowout, guys. You know, before Georgia, there had only been 10 back-to-back championship seasons in college football history, and you can bet that Coach Kirby Smart and the entire team are going to have a good time tonight and be thinking of a way to pull that third win off next year. And again, guys, we are live at the Atlanta airport. The Bulldogs have made their way off that Delta plane, and they are now loading those 3, 4, 6 buses you see lined up right next to the plane there. Once they leave the airport, they'll head to Athens. Should take about an hour drive to get there, and their crowds of fans will greet them. And as you know, guys, we've been covering this game extensively. We had a team out in Los Angeles ever since earlier this week, including the weekend. So this is a big, big victory for the Georgia Bulldogs. And again, guys, if you missed the chance to go to Los Angeles, if you missed the chance to watch the game last night, in which I hope you didn't, You'll have another chance to help celebrate with the Dogs on Saturday in Athens at 12:30. We'll have more information about this parade posted on our website at atlantanewsfirst.com. There you can find everything UGA related there, everything Bulldogs related. But back to that parade in Athens, it will begin on Saturday on Lumpkin Street at 12:30 p.m. and it ends at Sanford Stadium. I should mention too that a dog walk will take place at 1 o'clock, beginning at the Baxter Street extension and going through the Tate Student Center Plaza in Athens. So again, I mentioned if you missed that chance to celebrate with the Dogs, you have another chance to do it on Saturday. And take a look now at our live picture. We have a photographer on the ground showing you those 6 buses where the Dogs have loaded on, and now they're about to head to Athens. And that drive should take them about a little over an hour to get there. And as I mentioned before, once they get there, they'll have crowds of fans there to meet them. So we're going to keep this live picture up as those buses get ready to pull off. And later on, we'll have another view from our Atlanta News First chopper, an aerial view of the Dogs still making their way to Athens. All right, guys, and as we wait for those buses to pull off, I'm going to bring up a better view here to give you guys a better look at what's happening this weekend. All right, take a look here. You can see that the celebration is set for January 14th. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and give you guys a look at the time, the location. And as I mentioned before, that ceremony is going to happen at Sanford Stadium. The start time here, 12:30 p.m. with the dog walk at 1 p.m. and then a formal program will begin at 2 p.m. And for all of your UGA related questions and whatnot, you can head right on over to our Atlanta News First website. Don't forget to download our Atlanta News First mobile app because we will also be there at the ceremony as the Dogs continue to celebrate this major win. And guys, if you do plan on going to Athens this weekend, if you do plan on participating in the celebration here, just some quick details to remind you here that, due to ongoing construction on the south side of Sanford Stadium, there will be several changes, much different from last year's championship celebration. And you can look at those details on our website, again, at atlantanewsfirst.com. See those 3 bullets there, tells you exactly where to go, tells you where to be, tells you what to do, so you won't get lost. And let's go back out to those Dogs where they haven't pulled off yet. Let's take a look at this aerial view from our Atlanta News First chopper. All right, guys, and as you can see there's one bus pulling off, and there's another one behind it following. So the Dogs have made their way back to Atlanta from Los Angeles, bringing home a big win. National champs for the second straight year after taking down the TCU Horned Frogs last night in a major game and a big game and a game that you did not want to miss. And as you can see, police are escorting the team, and they'll escort the team from the Atlanta airport to Athens, and it should take about a little over an hour to get there. And all right, guys, and if you're just tuning in to this live stream, I'm Atlanta News First digital journalist Jamarlo Phillips, and what you're looking at right now is the Bulldogs being escorted from the Atlanta airport, and from here they will be headed to Athens for a major celebration because a lot of people are going to be there to greet them. And of course, we're going to continue to bring you guys coverage of the Dogs from their arrival, as you saw here, from the Atlanta airport to Athens, even this weekend where a parade will happen near Sanford Stadium. And again, guys, you're looking at a shot from a live picture here from our Atlanta News First chopper. Now, this particular shot may be spotty at some point, but as you can see here, the Dogs have left the Atlanta airport. Now they're headed to Athens. And guys, if you're just joining this live stream, as I mentioned before, and if you missed the game, if you miss watching the game, if you miss going to Los Angeles, you will still have time to help celebrate with the Dogs on Saturday in a ceremony at Sanford Stadium. That ceremony, that parade will happen on Lumpkin Street, and it will start at 12:30 p.m. with a dog walk at 1 p.m. and then a formal program will begin at 2 p.m. So again, if you missed out, guys, this will be another chance for you to maybe drive to Athens or, tune in to Atlanta News First and we will show you the celebration. And the Bulldogs are back in Atlanta as national champions. This for the second straight year after taking down the TCU Horned Frogs last night in Los Angeles. You can see now from our Atlanta News First chopper, the Dogs are all packed up and boarded up on the buses here, not the plane. About 6 buses here being escorted by police. They're now on their way to Athens. And in Athens, they'll be met by crowds of people to help celebrate the win last night. And I should also mention too that just some key points here. Stetson Bennett, he was named the offensive MVP after throwing for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 running touchdowns on the ground. That final score last night, 7-65, a 58-point victory over the TCU Frogs. And another thing I should mention too, that before Georgia, there had only been 10 back-to-back championship seasons in college football history. And you could bet that Coach Kirby Smart and the entire team is going to have a great time tonight in Athens, and also thinking about how they can make it a 3rd straight next year. And as those guys head to Athens, fans are invited to watch a parade this weekend. It will happen at Sanford Stadium, near Sanford Stadium. We have all the details on our Atlanta News First website, atlantanewsfirst.com. If you can't access that, you can always download our mobile app, Atlanta News First. And there we will have everything you need to know UGA related.
Yeah. Joyce just told us to be careful with it because like they haven't found the body yet. So. Okay.
All right, guys, and if you're just tuning in to this live stream here, you're looking at a live picture from our Atlanta News First chopper of 6 buses loaded with the Dogs. They're back in Atlanta. Now they're headed to Athens, where crowds of fans are going to meet them and help celebrate with them. And hopefully the Dogs will be thinking about how they can make it a 3rd straight next year. Take a look at that traffic in Atlanta, though. So if you're driving through Atlanta and you see these buses here, just give them a toot, you know, just to say congrats. And we're going to keep this live picture up as long as we can. And hopefully when the Dogs get to Athens, we'll be able to give you a different look at what it looks like there. And don't forget too that on Saturday, as I mentioned before, if you didn't make it to the game in Los Angeles, or if you weren't able to watch it due to whatever reason, you can always help celebrate with the Dogs in Athens on Saturday. They will be having a parade, all types of fun. That parade, it will start at 12:30 p.m. with a dog walk at 1 p.m. And then after that, they'll have a formal program, which will begin at 2 p.m. And of course, Atlanta News First will be there. We'll be there to bring you all the coverage of UGA, the Dogs. You know, we were there for a few days, so you saw our coverage there, and from the beginning to the end. And we know it's been a busy day for the Dogs. It's also been a busy day for many people here in Atlanta too, because a lot of people were out buying sportswear. You know, a lot of stores were packed with people buying, you know, whatever they can to help show their Georgia Bulldogs spirit, I should say. All right, guys, as you saw there, the Dogs have made their way back to Atlanta, and now they're headed to Athens, where a crowds I can imagine of people will be there to help celebrate their big win. And if you missed that game last night, if you missed the chance to go to Los Angeles, don't worry, because on this weekend, on Saturday, a parade will be held in Athens. So there's a chance for you to get out there and help celebrate with the Dogs. I'm gonna give you guys a closer look at the details of that parade here on our Atlanta News First website. Take a look right here. You can see that that ceremony will start at Sanford Stadium, as you can see right here. And the parade will actually be on Lumpkin Street, right next to Sanford Stadium, and it'll begin at 12:30 p.m. Now, right after that, a dog walk will happen at 1 p.m., and then a formal program, as you can see right here, will begin at 2 p.m. So, as I mentioned there, if you missed the action last night, you have another chance to get out there and help celebrate with the Dogs for their second straight win as back-to-back win as national champs. And again, guys, if you're making your way to Athens on Saturday, take a look here. These are just some basic details that you will need to know if you will be traveling through the area there, just talking about road closures, telling you which gates to pass through, and also telling you that seating will also be limited. So you want to make sure that you get there early if you do plan on celebrating with the Dogs on Saturday during that parade. All right, guys, and if you're just tuning in, we just showed you the Dogs landing at the Atlanta airport. Now they're headed to Athens. Huge win for the Dogs last night, huge victory for the Dogs last night, winning against the TCU Horned Frogs 7-65. That was a huge blowout. So if you missed that game, I hope you didn't miss it, but if you did, you can always watch those recaps on our all of our platforms, streaming platforms. Now, I should mention too that before Georgia, there had only been 10 back-to-back championship seasons in college football history. And as you can bet, Coach Kirby Smart and the entire Bulldogs team are going to enjoy tonight in Athens and be thinking of a way how to pull off that win, that third win next year.